Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of AEW Weekly Wrap Up. I'm your host, Ethan Black. Today, we're going to talk about this week in AEW. So, Dark Elevation, Dark Dynamite. Also, doing a review of the Jay Briscoe tribute show. We're also going to talk about the brief for tonight's Rampage and next week's show. So, let's start with Dark Elevation from January 18th from Fresno, California. So, the opening match, Sky Blue goes on. So the boys, Masters able to walk up. Then Sky Blue throws some quick throws. Hits a kick from the apron, but the boys hit the suplex. She rolls for first set and rolls again for a third time. Blues fight back with some elbows before Blue hits a head strikes and head scissors. Then they needed a head super. She goes for super kick, but blocked through, but she hits a roundhouse kick for a 2 count. The boys with a chop before Blue kicks right, hits for a super kick, and then hits the Sky Fall for the win at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. This was a fun little opener to kick off Dark Elevation. I give it 5 out of 10. Second match, tag team match, we got Beef Candy, that is David McConnell and Richie Slade goes against the Butcher and the Blade. Blade goes after Richie Slade with strikes in the corner. Then the Bunny with some cheap shots. Butcher comes in, hits a Polish hammer. Butcher throws Slade halfway across the ring for David McConnell gets to tag him. They go back and forth. McConnell slips through from a clothesline, but Blade hits a gutbuster, or Butcher hits a gutbuster, goes for the gutbuster, Slade broke it up. Blade takes out Slade. They hit the drag the leg for the win at 2 minutes and 23 seconds. This was a squash match. I give it 4 out of 10. Then backstage, we see the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena shoving people around while she's looking for Yuga Sakisaki. Sakisaki is here. She says hi to Athena and they engage in a pole ball brawl. Then our third match, we got tag team match. We got Left Faction in Gonalabre. That's Preston Fans and Roosh. Go against the Papacitos. That's Blanco and Negro, aka known as Bad Dude Tito and Che Careba. So Roosh and Blanco start the match. They trade some pushing. Basically, they keep showing each other. Roosh unloads and then hits a distance punch. Roosh sends Blanco off the top rope. Press fans cheap shots. Papacito Negro. Rush starts slamming Blanco around the barricades for a bit. Back in ring, fans hits the spine buster and Blanco. Negro takes it and him and fans start trading strikes before Preston hits a short block. Then some strikes in the corner, takes a Roosh. They do some double team move. They slam Negro down. Fans hits a football Panatonome. Roosh has a for Bull's horn. Followed by this is later to Blanco, and they stack the Papacitos up for the quick win at 3 minutes and 35 seconds. I give this 4 out of 10. Then after the match, LFI tear the mask of the Papacitos and then poses with them. Our fourth match, Emi Sakura goes one with Brock Havoc. So Sakura avoids the tie when avoids the lockup, and Brock Havoc with some strikes and drag for Sakura, grabs her by the hair and starts dragging around the ropes before tossing her around. Then Sakura spanks Havoc and then she rakes the back. Sakura with some stomps. Then she calls on Havoc to lay some elbows before she gets laid out with a chop. Sakura more chops, but Havoc keeps training with her. Havoc with a neckbreaker followed by a saddle DDT for a 2 count. Sakura counters to it with a whirling dervish. Hits some chops in the corner for a cross by Elbow corner and connects. Then followed by double arm backbreaker. Then she climbs the ropes, hits the moonsault to score the 3 count at 3 minutes and 16 seconds. I give this 5 out of 10. So our fifth match, Ari Daivari and Tony Nese, they team up against Big Fonz and Jordan Cruz. Cruz and Nese starts off the match. Tony Nese does his usual posing for a side headlock. Cruz counters into a hammerlock, then picks up the angle, then he poses as well. Then he hits an arm drag, then a cheap shot from Ari Daivari lets Nese take over in the match. Ari Daivari gets tagged and he stomps on Cruz in the corner. Big Fonz tags and starts running over Daivari before Nese gets a tag and hits a spinning kick. Cruz gets hit with a Uranagi from Daivari. Nese takes out Fonz with the ready Nese to score the win at 2 minutes and 21 seconds. I give this 2 out of 10. There's sixth and final match of the night. Trios action. That's a Dark Order. Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver go against the Wingmans. Peter Avalon, Ryan Nemeth, and Chaos Project Sam Pentigo. So John Silver, Ryan Nemeth set the match with a lockup. Then they trade holds before Nemeth takes Silver down to the mat. Silver hits a running uppercut, then hits a powerbomb. Then he poses. Sam Pentigo gets tossed. Then Peter Avalon was closed out over the top. Evil Uno gets a hit the avalanche move up top. Then he takes it out. Reynolds with a throw that got a 2 count. After some misdirection from Ryan Nemeth, Reynolds ducks a close-up from Sam Pentigo in the wing before Luther booted him in the face. Avalon takes and hits a suplex. Sam Pentigo takes it and works the arm. Pierre Avalon takes back and trades moves with Reynolds for Reynolds counters from the suplex for a small package for a 2 count. Avalon with a cheap shot, but Reynolds back body drops him. Then Uno gets a tag. So Pentigo also tags him, but Evil Uno runs wild for a bit. Uno with a one-way angel over the knee, only for a 2 count. Silver tags in, and Reynolds gets taken as well. They were going to accept the Abyss, but Avalon trips Silver. Ryan Nemeth tosses Uno, hits Reynolds with a DDT. So Pentigo comes and hits a super kick. Then Avalon hits a splash for a 2 count as Uno broke up the count. Uno takes out Serpentigo. Then we get the parade moves where everybody gets their stuff in before Silver and Reynolds hits their ping pong stuff. Basically, it's like stunner, German suplex, jackknife cover for the win at 5 minutes and 22 seconds. This was a fun little main event. I give it 6 out of 10. So that was Dark Elevation from January 18th. If I had to pick one match, I recommend checking out the main event, the trios match. So now we'll move on to Dark from January 20. I'm sorry, Dark Elevation was January 23rd. Sorry, they taped it on January 18th. That was my apologies there. And now we go to Dark. That was from Orlando, Florida, from their December tapings. So we'll start with the opening match. Britt Baker making her a rare Dark appearance because it's Billy Starks. They lock up to start the match up. They exchange submissions before Starks extends her hand to Britt Baker. So Baker modestly takes it, but she got nailed before she hits an elbow and then sling blade. Baker hits another elbow that sends Starks crashing to the mat. Starks hit the boot, then goes to the tower, hits a cannonball. Rebel pushes out and she takes it, allowing Britt Baker to hit the thrust kick. Starks gets her up on the shoulders, but locally she was going to go for the Joker driver, but Baker escapes at the forearm. She hits a butterfly suplex, looks for the carve stomp, but Starks moves out of the way and hits a tombstone for a 2 count. Before the end of the match happens, Baker hits a Canadian Destroyer and a curse stomp to score the win. At 7 minutes and 25 seconds, this was a fun opener. I give this one 7 out of 10. So then we go to our second match. Dark Order are in trios action again. This time against Balin Ike, Marcus Cross, and Ferry Morrissey. So Silver and Marley start up. They lock up. They exchange submission holds before Silver sends him Ferry over the top with a back elbow. Evil Uno hits the big boot. By that, Ike takes and looks for a kick, but Evil Uno catches him and connects with a cutter before Reynolds takes and hits a right hand. Ike gets a kick to the face, but kicks Reynolds in the face, but responds with a kick and back elbow. Moralized gets taken back in before Silver Reynolds throws him into Evil Uno. Uno hit the powerbomb, then he takes him, making him the legal man. Then they hit the Venom Bomb for the win. At 3 minutes and 35 seconds, I give this 5 out of 10. Then our third match, we got Tony Deppen go against Serpentigo. Serpentigo hits a short tackle to follow up with a Hurricanrana. Deppen hits a knee and a drop kick. He didn't look like he was going to go for a dive out of the ring, but Luther grabs his ankle while the referee was distracted. That allows Serpentigo to hit an eye rake and a headbutt. Before he hits a thrust kick to Deppen's head, he goes for the cover. Only got a 2 count. Deppen hits series of rights and left hands. Hits a diving knee, drop to the back of Serpentigo's head, then goes for the knee suplex. He goes to the top, goes for a double stomp, but Serpentigo rolls out of the way. And Helico, as Deppen was on the ropes, and Helico trips up, but the ref breaks for Innsbruck, catches him and jacks him for ringside. Deppen runs the ropes. Again, but Luther does the same thing. The referee catches him as well, but Serpentigo ejects Luther on the referee's behalf. I did get a laugh out of that. So Deppen takes a finish, delivers an arm drag, and rolls him up for the win at 5 minutes and 36 seconds. Tony Dugan winning on Dark. I give this match 6 out of 10. In our fourth match, Matt Sydal, who we haven't seen in a long time on AEW program, goes against the Wingman Cesar Benoit, another guy I haven't seen in a while on AEW television. They lock up before Sydal hits a kick. That takes on Pierre Avalon. Cesar Benoit takes him from behind his series stomps and tosses him top turnbuckle. Hits a right hand, but Sydal comes back with some stomps. But Cesar goes for a powerbomb, but Sydal reverses to a hit scissors for the win at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I was not a big fan of this match. I give it 1 out of 10. Then after the match, Ryan Nemeth attacks Sydal and then Pierre and Cesar join in, but Top Flight rushes to Sydal's aid. So that will set up a trios match, probably for a few drips of Dark. In our fifth match, we got Harley Cameron going one-on-one with Brittany J. They go back and forth with submission holds before Cameron fires back with a series of kicks. She sends Brittany into the corner, then charges at her. Brittany gets up her boot and hits a draw kick. She goes flying, but Cameron rolls away, hits a flying clothesline, then falls up with a backstab for the win at 2 minutes and 51 seconds. I give this 4 out of 10. Goes one-on-one with Casey Lennox. Lennox shoves Rain into the corner, but Rain fires back with Silver Force that kicks to Lennox's head. Lennox plays with a jumping, plans Rain, looks for jumping knee, but Rain gets away, hits the cross Rain for the win at a minute 16 seconds. I give this 2 out of 10. Too short to really talk about. So match number 7, we got Action Andrade goes one with Iron Savage's Bronson. So they walk up, kick the match off. Bronson hits a boot to Andrade's midsection, then sends him across the ring. Tosses him across the ring again, hits a chop and gets him on the shoulders. Going for somebody, Andrade escapes, hits a DDT. Sends Bronson out of the ring with an Insecurity. Hits a Tope Suicida. And then he does a couple more of his own. He sends Bronson back in the ring. He goes for his signature running shooting star press, but Bronson rolls out of the ring. So Andrade follows him. Bronson sends him into the barricade, sends him to the steps, and then gloats about it. Then he gets him in the ring, hits a body slam. He goes to the top rope. Andrade meets him up there and hits a superplex. And then he follows up with a flying elbow. It followed by a backbreaker neckbreaker combo. Hits the back up, goes for the cover. He got 2 count. He hits a Hurricanrana thrust kick and a kick to Bronson's chest. Bronson fires back with a lariat and a back suplex before Andrade puts him away with the running Hurricanrana and a running shooting star press for the win at 7:57. Fun match. I give this 6 out of 10. Then our 8th and final match, the main event, Mascara Dorado goes against Workhorseman's Anthony Henry. So they walk up and kick the match off. Henry sends Dorado. Hits a kick for Dorado, goes to the outside. Henry falls in there and tosses him back in the ring. Delivers a neck breaker. Hits a kick across Dorado's spine. Then one to his chest. Then hits 2 more kicks to the chest. Dorado fires back with a chop and hits a kick to Henry's face. Hits a sling blade, that drop kick off the top rope. That sends Henry to the outside. Dorado hits a IAC moonsault, gets back in the ring. Henry comes back with a Russian leg sweep off the ropes, then a Liger bomb. He tries to go for the dive, puts him off the top, but Dorado rolls out of the way. Henry sits on top, looks to do some, but Dorado fires back with a face buster up the middle rope. Henry hits a face buster. He goes back to the top of Dorado, catches with a kick. He falls with a thrust kick, climbs the dumb, hits a diving elbow drop for the win at 7 minutes and 42 seconds. I give this match also 6 out of 10. Fun little main event to end this week's Dark. I actually enjoyed this episode of Dark. 8 matches, a quick watch. If I had to recommend my 3 matches, I recommend the Britt Baker Billy Starks match, Action Andrade and Bronson, and then Mascara Dorado and Anthony Henry in the main event. We will go to AEW Dynamite from January 25th from Lexington, Kentucky. So we kick it off with a tag team matches. Les Sex Gods, that's Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, goes as Ricky Starks and Action Andrade. So Guevara and Andrade start the match off. They cook around the ropes, do some back and forth with some fast-paced action. They have a standstill till Guevara takes Andrade out with a super kick. Then Andrade sends Guevara to the outside, imitating his pose. But Guevara runs back and takes Andrade to the outside with a draw kick. He's diving to the outside, but gets distracted as Andrade takes a Daniel Garcia. Sammy Guevara does dive onto him on the outside. He tries to go for a top of Hurricanrana, but Andrade lands on his feet, hits a Spanish fly for a 2 count. Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks get tagged in. They stop chopping each other. Jericho jumps on the top rope, but Starks blocks him, sits him in the corner, starts doing the old school walk in the ropes. But Guevara takes him out with a cutter. That was a pretty cool spot. Jericho went for the cover. That's pretty more cutter. Only got a 2 count. They said Scott's take turns working on Ricky Starks while taking in and out. But Starks is able to fight him off. Andrade gets a hot tag. He fights off by Scott, including hitting back-to-back suicide Tope Suicidas. Starks helps out with a DT to Guevara. Andrade springs towards in with a moonsault for a 2 count. Jericho and Starks come back and forth until Starks with a spear. Goes for the cover, but Guevara broke it up. They go back and forth some more. Jericho looks for Codebreaker, but Starks blocks it and hits a Liger bomb, but that only got a 2 count. Andrade tags and works on Jericho, but Jericho puts his knees up from the split leg moonsault before Guevara gets tagged in. Andrade was in control, but Jericho stops him. Starks takes out Jericho. Back inside the ring, Andrade hits a reverse Hurricanrana followed by a hanging neck breaker for a 2 count. Starks takes out Jericho in the match with the Rampage show on the floor. Back inside, Andrade was in control until Daniel Garcia gets an apron, hits her with the baseball bat before Guevara hits the GTH for the win at 12 minutes and 44 seconds. This was a fun opener. They actually, as much as I'm really not a big fan of JS, they really needed this win. I give this match 6 out of 10. Then we get a video package for the late great Jay Briscoe, showing highlights of his career as well as family photos. It's some photos from Jay, Mark, and the Briscoe family. I did shed a tear watching that video. Their second match, we got a TNT title match. Darby Allin defeats Buddy Matthews. House of Black's Buddy Matthews. Julia Hart jumps on the apron, causes Buddy Matthews take advantage. Sends Darby to the outside. They start on the apron while Matthews slams him, catches Allin, swings into the barricade. Allin counters a powerbomb attempt. He tosses Matthews in there with a Hurricanrana. They go back inside. Matthews uses his ring skirt to take down Allin before he takes him over to Meteor from the apron for a 2 count. Darby hits a stunner where he hits a coffin drop from inside the ring to the outside. As they go back in the line, back inside the ring, the lights go out when we see the Kings of Black front. That's Protocol Malachi Black at the bottom of the ramp. But here comes Ortiz out with a kendo stick. He starts swinging at them. Sting joins in and uses the bat on them. Matthews hits a Liger bomb on Allin for a 2 count. Kings of Black front, Sting and Ortiz were brawling on to the backstage as we go to commercial break. We come back for break. Darby Allin's on Buddy Matthews' shoulders, and he punches his way up for hitting Poison Rana. That sends Matthews to the outside. After sends Matthews in barricade, he goes for a crossbody inside, but Matthews counters. But Allin comes back when they create a bomb for a 2 count. Matthews hits a bungle bomb and a curse stomp, paying tribute to Seth Rollins for a 2 count. Allin comes back with a code red for a 2 count. Tries for another coffin drop, but Matthews stops him. Tries to go for a superflex, but Allin counters into a Scorpion Death Drop for a 2 count. I actually thought that was going to be it. Darby traps Buddy on the ropes, then hits a coffin drop to get the win and retain the TNT title at 12 minutes and 48 seconds. This was a great title, not a great title defense from Darby. I give this match 6. Actually, I give it 7 out of 10. Out of his title matches, I say this is probably his, since winning from Smojo, this is probably my second favorite, besides the Kushida one was my favorite. My least favorite was probably the Juice match. So after the match, Tony Schiavone enters the ring. He tries to war with Darby. They're talking about how Darby and Sting were over at Japan at Pro Wrestling Noah at Great Mill's last match this past Sunday. Before running out of the opponents, he's beat down, which I pretty much did. He beat Mike Bennett, Juice Robinson, Kushida, and now Buddy Matthews. Then as soon as Tony Schiavone mentions Smojo, we see the Ring owner T Chamber Smojo on the screen. He says he's trying to come and take everything from Darby, and he sold the TNT title from him. He said the king of television won't be superb by a man like Allin. He said learning the TNT title is the greatest mistake of his career. So we found out later in the show they will have a match next week, next week in a no holds bar match with Deep, but I'll talk about more after. Then we get a video package of Adam Cole training. He says every single day he's working at a comeback and being a better Adam Cole. He said tonight he will sleep easy, know he could hang with with the AEW roster. He doesn't know when that day's coming, but that day's coming as soon as he stares at the Revolution banner. So I imagine his first match back will be at Revolution. So before we get our next match, the firm's Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, Stokely Hathaway, and Isaiah Cassidy all come out. Page tells them to stop playing Hardy's music before playing his, as Stokely Hathaway tells Isaiah Cassidy put the chain on him. So we go to that tag team matchup. It's the firm's Ethan Page, Matt Hardy goes as Jungle Hook, that is Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and the FTW champion Hook. Page and Perry start the match off before both teams have a face-off. Hardy does the delete chance. Hook and Page fight on the outside. Page tries to go for Ego's edge, but Perry takes a Page up with a dive. Page tries up Jungle Boy for the firm start doing double team moves. They go double suplex to go to pitcher. We come pitcher in pitcher. We come back. Hook comes in, takes out Page before both teams start brawling. Hardy takes himself out and hits Jungle Boy with the side effect. He goes for the twist of fate, but Page demands to be tagged in. So Page tries to do the twist of fate himself, but Jungle Boy counters to the snare trap. He tries to go for the tag. Hook takes down Matt Hardy, and Page taps out. So Jungle Hook defeat the firm by submission 7 minutes and 1 second. This was not a bad tag match. I give it 5 out of 10. This firm storyline needs to come to an end soon. So now we go to Family Therapy with the World Tag Team Champions, The Acclaim, Billy Gunn, and his sons, The Guns, Austin and Colin. The Guns are asked when they'll be first, as Billy has abandoned them, and Anthony Bonds calls him the biggest piece of shit. Since they can't control their jealousy, Matt Caster says the Guns can't do what they claim to before they start bickering. So Billy stops them and asks what happened to the Guns. Colin said they failed as children as a result of Billy being a failed father. Ooh, no. Wow, what a cheap shot. Billy asks what they want. They point to the World Tag Team titles before leaving. Then we get backstage. Renee Paquette is with Adam Page, asking for more clarification on what he was getting at last week. Page is next week there in Dayton, Ohio, and it's close to Cincinnati. He's suggesting our match with John Moxley, since they are tied 1-1. Before Blackpool Combat Clubs' Weird Yuta comes in, challenges Page for a match on Rampage. Page says, how does Yuta not know the same thing that happened to Moxley? It won't happen to him. So we found out that match will happen on Rampage. Then we get our fourth match. Bryan Danielson goes one third of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champion Brian Cage. Danielson goes after Cage's knees, but Cage corners Danielson and starts chopping away for Danielson comes back with his own chops, then kicks in the corner. Cage fights him off again. Danielson walks in the lapel lock, but Cage gets the bottom for a rope break. Cage gets into the outside, and Danielson hits a crossbody off the top rope. He sends him against the apron with kicks, tosses him back inside, hits a missile draw kick, but Cage gets impressed slams Danielson in the corner. Cage continues the attack, hitting a German suplex, back body drop on the aprons. We go to a commercial break. We come back. Cage catches Danielson off the ropes and hits a shoulder breaker, followed by a suplex from the ring, inside the ring. So from the apron, back inside the ring. My apologies. Cage gets a 2 count off a German suplex. Danielson starts stomping on Cage's face before locking in the triangle choke. Cage tries reverse, but Danielson locks in an ankle lock. Then he captures into a German suplex. They go back and forth. Cage hits a buckle bomb, power bomb. Tries to go for another powerbomb, but Danielson catches him with a roll-up to score the win at 12 minutes and 31 seconds. Another excellent match here. I give this 7 out of 10. So Danielson is close to getting his AEW World title match. Then after the match, Cage attacks Danielson until AEW World Champ MJF makes his way down to the ring. MJF takes a chair from ringside and gives it to Cage, who wraps around Danielson's neck. Forces him into the ring post. Cage tosses Danielson back in the room. MJF continues to attack Danielson. They trap his arm in the chair, but MJF climbs in the middle rope. For that time, Konosuke Takeshita comes out and makes a save. MJF runs away as Cage gets laid out with a knee from Takeshita. So we go backstage. Renee Paquette's back to try to get medical update on Danielson. Doc says it doesn't look good before he gives his medical opinion. Tells if he asks if he can wrestle or not, and nobody will stop him from wrestling. Danielson show the whole world behind the mask is a fraud, and the person that should be the AEW World Champion is him. And he tells Doc Sims he won't stop him from wrestling ever again. Then we get our fifth match. Ruby Soho goes one with Toni Storm. Toni Storm goes outside for a breather early in the match. She gets back. She takes down Soho with a boot before choking her in the corner. They start fighting on the apron. Well, Storm pokes Soho in the eye and then sends her to the floor with Sweet Cheeks music. So they're fighting at the ringside area. Storm sends Soho into the barricade where we get a comparative picture break. We come back. Soho reverses out, hits of a move, hits no future for a 2 count. Soho goes to the top rope, but Storm moves out of the way. Nick gets kicked in the face, but the referee's between because Storm said she might have a broken nose, but she was playing pause and takes out Soho with a German suplex, hits his Sweet Cheeks music in the corner, then a turn DT for a 2 count. As Storm was going for the Storm Zero Breaker music's hit, this was originally supposed to be a triple threat match between Soho, Storm, and Baker. So, but Baker kind of takes advantage. Sorry, take a drink there. Well, Soho takes advantage of Destination Unknown for the win at 8 minutes and 48 seconds. This was an okay match. I give 5 out of 10. Then we go backstage. We see MJF, the AEW World Champion, is calling out Konosuke Takeshita. MJF said Takeshita is very talented in the ring, but not his brain in game matches tempo. He tells Takeshita stay off his business or there will be consequences. He moves on to Bryan Danielson, mentions his injury. He knows that Danielson is obsessed with his AEW World title, but so is he. The AEW World title is where all his blood, sweat, and tears and sins were all worth it, and turns his catchphrase into a fact. He states that Danielson has enough, but still wants to take the AEW World title away from him because he has a hole in his soul and he wants to fill it. MJF said bad things about him who messed with him. He made a phone call to someone who answers Daniel's open challenge. Before we find out it would be Timothy Thatcher, former NXT superstar, currently wrestling in Pro Wrestling Noah. We see a video from Great Muda's final match back this past Sunday at Yokohama Arena where Thatcher defeated Masasaki Hoshisuke via submission. That match actually wasn't too bad. I recommend going checking that out. And then we get our main event. We got the Jay Briscoe tribute match. Jay Lethal goes on with Mark Briscoe. They go back and forth, start the match up with a chop exchange. Briscoe knocks Lethal down, but Lethal comes right back. Briscoe hits a neck breaker for a 2 count. As they hit the break, we go to break, we come back. Mark does some redneck kung fu off the top rope. Mark goes for the J Driller, but Lethal escapes a lethal combination for a 2 count. They hit to the outside where Lethal places Mark on the ringside table, but Mark gets back and takes Lethal to the outside where he hits a drop kick, followed by blockbuster from the floor. Places Lethal on the table, goes to the top, hits the froggy bow through it, sends it back in the ring that only got a 2 count. Mark tries to go for J Driller again. Lethal counters, then hits the lethal injection, or tries to go for lethal injection again. Mark stops on the lariat, hits another lariat, then finally connects with the J Driller for the win at 12 minutes and 26 seconds. This was a fun match. I give it 7 out of 10. And I forgot to mention before the match, Lethal was going. He was crying. I mean, I don't blame him. I was shedding a tear as well. And it was good to hear the Reach for the Sky Boy theme song playing on AEW TV. And after the match, Mark Briscoe spoke on camera, gives love to Jay and his family before the entire roster is on stage as Mark and Lethal embrace. And we close our Dynamite with that great episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite. If I had to pick, so my recommendations, I recommend checking the TNT title match, Danielson and Brian Cage, and the Jay Briscoe tribute match. So that was Dynamite from this past Wednesday. So I'll run down the cards right quick. So Friday on tonight's Rampage, we got Heyman Page, Blackpool, Combo Cuts, Ring of Honor, Peter Chamber, Warrior Yuta. We got some trios matches: Jake Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh goes against Best Friends. That's Chuck Taylor, Trent Barrett, and Danhausen. Powerhouse Hobbs is in action against some guy named Tony Mudd. And then we got a eliminator match. AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter goes on with Samurai Ekara. Emi Sakura, sorry, if Sakura wins, she gets a shot at the women's title. But I forgot to mention before the main event, we saw Hayter cutting a promo on Sakura ahead of their match. Then we get Dark Elevation for this Monday to be episode 100. So Red Velvet goes against Billy Starks. John Silver and Alex Reynolds with Dark Order go against the Workhorsemen. Anthony and Jay Drake and tag team action. Roosh goes one with Brian Pillman Jr. Sky Blue and Yuka Sasaki teams up to go against Ring of Honor Women's Chamber Athena and Diamante. We got Top Flight, that is Darius and Dante Martin, goes against Trustbusters, Ari Devire, and Varsity Athletes Tony Nese. In more tag team action, we got the Kings of the Black Throne. That's Brother King Malachi Blacko against the Outrunners. That's Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd. And Claudio Castagnoli defends the Ring of Honor World title against Blake Christian. And then next week's Dynamite, we got Brian Danielson against Timothy Thatcher. John Moxley against Heyman Page. The Acclaimed AEW World Tag Teams are in action. And then Darby Allin will defend the TNT title against Samoa Joe in a no-holds-barred match. So that's the cards. So now, yesterday we had on the Ring of Honor YouTube channel, we had the Jay Briscoe tribute show. So we're gonna get right into that. So we kick it off with the Ring of Honor Pure title. Your defense is Hagen Shino. They growl to start the matchup. Yuta gets a headed wrist lock. Shino shrugs that off and strikes away like a common angle slam for a 2 count. Yuta starts working the leg and the crank since Shino in the ropes. That's his first rope break. And then Yuta grabs a gory stretch. He works on that for a bit. Then he goes for an octopus move. That's in Shino to the ropes for a second time. So he's used 2 of his rope breaks. But he's able to knock Yuta to the floor. He gets back. Yuta hits a springboard moonsault, followed by a German suplex back inside the ring. Shino comes back with an Insiguri, Michinoku drop for a 2 count. Yuta kicks him in the head and hits a top rope splash, followed by the seatbelt clutch to get to retain his pure title at 9 minutes and 26 seconds. Not a bad match to kick off the tribute show, the celebration of life. I give this 5 out of 10. Then we get Samoa Joe, the Ring of Honor TV champion, who is flying back tears, tell how rare it is to meet authentic people who love unconditionally. That's what Jay Briscoe was, and people who knew the Briscoes, knew them as brothers. He watched him and he still loves his brother. Then we get Adam Cole, tell how he met the Briscoes in 2010 when he saw a Ring of Honor. That was a company he wanted to work for, and then he got share a locker with the Briscoes. Jay believed in them and taught him a lot, but he also vouched for him and helped get Cole's Ring of Honor title. Help get Adam Cole's Ring of Honor World Title ring. I believe it was his 3rd one, I believe. And then Jay never complained or talked trash about anyone because he wanted to boost people up. He said he'd be at the Briscoes every year on open day football season because he knows Jay's telling everyone to man up. Did we get a recap of the Jay Briscoe Adam Cole feud? And then we see from Final Battle 2014, fight without honor, basically a street fight for the Ring of Honor title. Jay Briscoe defends Adam Cole. Yet they showed the best of Jay Briscoe match. This was the first of plenty during the show. So Cole and Jay Briscoe was looking at the start. He hits the Jay drill less than a minute in the match. They fight to the floor. Briscoe hammer away. Since Cole puts Cole on the table, double stomp puts Cole for the table. Then he gets a stable cut for Adam Cole comes by pop Briscoe's chair to Jay's head. This was the same under the head. They get back and Cole sits in the chair, rips out Jay's face. Before Jay slips out and kicks him in the face. Cole got sent face first in the chair in the corner. Gets another table. He sits up in the corner, but Cole hits a brainbuster underneath. They take control of the match. He sits up 2 chairs. Only have Jay the Falcon Arrow hits him with a Falcon Arrow onto those 2 chairs. Adam Cole hits him in the face for a count, for 2 count. Then the figure 4 leg lock around the post is broken up. Adam Cole got busted open during that. So the LA commission came out, but Jay breaks it up and beats up Adam Cole some more. Before he pulls on another table, he sets up on the floor for going up to the top. Cole super kicks him and Jay crashes through the table. Adam Cole hits Briscoe with the Ring of Honor World title for a 2 count. Hits the Florida Key that got a 2 count. He goes for Panama Sunrise, but Jay Briscoe has to definitely drop for the table in the corner. Adam Cole puts some thumbtacks in Jay's mouth, hits a super kick for a 2 count. And then he hits a back body drop onto the tax. Then he hits a J drill for a 2 count, followed by another one to retain the Ring of Honor World title at 21 minutes and 19 seconds. This was if you haven't watched that match, I recommend checking that match out. And we'll be seeing that during the show, the best of Jay Briscoe matches. This was the first of. We had 3 during this whole show. That was the first of 3. And speaking of Michael, he's at the arena for a chat. He tells us about with Jay and everything he's learned from the Briscoes. He said over the years he learned all kinds of things from the 2 of them, and he has all kinds of memories from knowing them. Jay's entire heart and soul was his family, and everyone's here for family. If Jay was here, he would slap Cole in the head, said man up because they have a show to put on before he tells them that he loves them and miss them, and he made the world a better place. Did we get Matt Hardy tell with Jay Briscoe? He said he calls Valhalla a tragedy at S38 was way too young. That is true. A lot of people misunderstood the Briscoes because they seen the character but don't know the man behind the scenes. Once he came for the current, he would turn that off and be a bashful soul. Hardy was going for the texts they sent each over the years, and they always talk about being fathers. It is devastating to Matt that Jay won't get to see his kids grow up. Matt thinks of the Briscoes when he thinks of Ring of Honor, and it's sad that he can't text each other anymore. Did we get our second or third match? Mira Shabir goes on with Mighty Mira. Shabir hits a chop in the corner, kicks her in the chest, and makes her tap out with an armbar to get the quick win at 2 minutes and 12 seconds. I get just 2 out of 10. Then we get Christopher Daniels. He tells how many times he came and went from Ring of Honor, and the Briscoes for constant were the soldiers in the company. Briscoes never knew they were never leaving. Jay to top of the list of great Ring of Honor stars. Yes, he does. They wrestled a lot over the years, and deals would come out as Bruce, but he's always in there with someone who had passion for what he did. Everything about Jay was real, and what he did better than wrestle was being a father. He's glad he would consider himself a friend, and thanks to Briscoe family for sharing Jay with them. So we go back to Survival of the Fittest 2016, where we see Jay Briscoe and Christopher Daniels. So they grapple to start. Jay reverses in the headlock, scissors to the mat. Jay drives him to the corner, but Daniel's second headlock goes a bit better. Briscoe breaks up and slams him down before hitting a hurricane for a 2 count. Frankie Kazarian distracts and lets Daniels hit the back, drops him to the floor, goes for the aberrated moonsault, but Daniel pulls him against the post and hits a slingshot elbow for a 2 count. They go back inside. Daniels has a wrist lock, but Jay tries to fight it, but got hit in the knee, ribs with the knee. Then he goes for another moonsault, gives Daniel a 2 count. Jay fights out, hits another wrist lock, hits an elbow to the head, super kick for a 2 count, middle cross body misses. Daniel goes back on the wrist, but Jay shrugs out and hits the Dre Driller for the win at 14 minutes and 58 seconds. This is another one I go recommend check from the old days of Ring of Honor from 2016. Then we get Eddie Kingston. He said he doesn't have any inspiration words to say because he doesn't seem real. He says he's going to miss the good times with Jay, and this isn't fair, which is true. He's not wrong. Jay's going to be missed by a lot of people because he was a good family man. Kingston thought he had more to say, and the only thing he could think of when he misses Jay, before telling Jay to tell Brody, he says hello. And speaking of Eddie Kingston, he's going one-on-one with QT Marshall from the factory. QT offers a handshake, but he misses the cheap shot. Kingston starts chopping away. He sends Marshall to the outside with a backdrop. He chops him into the barricade while 2 fans are holding him. This was a funny spot. So Kingston told the fans to hold Marshall, so they did, so they chopped him. Then when Marshall tried to take a turn, the fans told him no. So Kingston did it again. We get back in the ring. QT hits a cheap shot, and then he sends Kingston throat first on the bottom rope. He keeps striking away, but Kingston tells him to bring it before he hits a machine gun chops in the corner. Then the spinning backfist to the future sets up the stretch punch for the submission win at 5 minutes and 7 seconds. I give this match 4 out of 10. Then after the match, Eddie Kingston told up a Jay Briscoe sign. Then we get some words from Austin Gunn, how he told me he got signed to Ring of Honor in 2018 and seen Jay Briscoe got injured. The pair match won how Jay because they were off the clock, so Austin got a care package to clean him up. But Jay said no because he had a flight in 2 hours. But Austin Butterfly stitched a huge cut in his back. That he recalls that's the first thing he met Jay in the Tuttle family for 2 hours. Then we get some words from the Wingman's Ryan Nemeth. He told how he wanted to be in a tag team with his brother, Dolph Ziggler. Then he met the Briscoes and who welcomed him in the locker room. He wasn't close to the team, but he knew they were what he wanted to be. Then Stokely Hathaway talks about how great the Briscoes were and how hard hit their jobs to make sure his legacy lives on. Before we get and then we go to our next match, the Ring of Honor Women's Title Eliminator match. The champ Athena goes on with Madison Rain. If Rain wins, she gets a Ring of Honor Women's Title match. She has Sky Blue in her corner. Rain hammers away on Athena and it stabs out a head scissors. Athena sent the outside, but she tried to go for diving DDT, but got hit with a gore buster on the floor. We go back in. If he locks Rain in the surfboard, full light backbreaker to keep this match in her control. Master Rain comes back with a cross arm choke to a backstabber. Shin's outside, got sent to the barricade. Then a high crossbody for a 2 count. Athena hits a belly to back suplex on him, but Master Rain hits a crucifix bomb that got Athena to kick out. Rain cuts in the turnbuckle, but she hits a cutter out of nowhere. Athena gets back, hits the big ending on the knees, and then locks in the crossface for the submission win at 8 minutes and 27 seconds. I give this 5 out of 10. Then after the match, Athena lays on Sky Blue with the Ring of Honor Women's title. Then we get BJ Whitmer, talk about his history with the Briscoes. Sounds like he's fighting back tears. Well, which I don't blame him. He probably was. Then he thanks Jay for being a friend and a brother. Then we get a former Ring of Honor producer, Sadie Decker. Tells about how Jay always listens to him and never brushed him off. Jay understood how much Decker was playing and treating him nicely. Decker couldn't wait to be with him again in heaven. Then we go to Brennan Cutler going on with Juice Robinson. Juice drags Brennan down a few times, but Cutler stands up to take over. Hits a running close on it, sends Juice to the outside, but Robinson steals a cold spray to blind Cutler. He locks a chin lock, but Cutler fights up and hits a ripcord leer for a 2 count. Airplane spin leaves them both dizzy till Cutler nails him with a right hand for a 2 count. Juice gets back. He starts fighting back, but he got hit with a cold spray for a 2 count. Juice sends him in the corner, hits the running cannonball, and then a DDT, a weird version of a DDT for the win at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. This was an okay match. I give it 4 out of 10. Then we get Prince Nana from the embassy, tell how Jay was being a realist in all the years they have spent together. Before we got Yuka Sakayaki goes on Sandra Moon. Yuka takes her down, but Sandra hits her running up with the back of the head. Some forearms only give Moon a 2 count before Sakayagi grabs her, hits a twist and brainbuster, spinning hammerlock faceplant, and then the magical girl splash for the win at 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Almost a squash match. I gave it 2 out of 10. Then we go back to Final Battle from 2006. We got tag team match as the Briscoes goes against the Kings of Wrestling. That's Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli with Larry Sweeney in our corner. So we got a brawl start the matchup. Briscoe sent Kings of Wrestling to the floor. Back inside, they have springboard crossbody here for a 2 count. Mark hits a moonsault on the Castagnoli on the floor. Castagnoli comes in, hits an overhead suplex for a 2 count before Jay snaps suplex, got a 2 count. Chris Hero comes back, hits a rolling to a moonsault on the Jay for a 2 count. Though big boot drops Jay for a 2 count. Delay suplex gets a 2 count as well. Jay hits a double DT. Then Mark comes back clean house. Rock bottom suplex got a 2 count. Chris Hero, press fridge, board splash got knees. Mark hit Kaiser with a gore buster for a 2 count. Kings of Wrestling do the power blocks for a 2 count. But Jay Briscoe hit Kaiser with a super hurricane frog splash from Mark got a 2 count. Then the end of the match happened where the Briscoes hit Hero with the shooting star press guillotine leg drop combo for the win at 17 minutes and 13 seconds. This was another fun retro review match. And I recommend going checking that out. And we get, speaking of Claudio Castagnoli, we hear from him. He said he doesn't know what to say in the locker room about on their way to the show. He always says, see you next time, but that wasn't the case here. Castagnoli said he hasn't seen Jay in over 10 years until recently, but he was the same Jay he's seen the last time. He remembers Final Battle from 2010, and he'll miss Jay's voice and laughter. So we get our main event for the Ring of Honor World title. Claudio Castagnoli defeats Christopher Daniels. Claudio grabs a headlock to start the matchup, but Daniels gets put an armbar, so them right back down. They get back up again. Castagnoli knocks him to the floor. Porter's on the let Daniels back in. Daniels uses another way and drops Castagnoli throat first across the top and locks that chin lock. Castagnoli fights back with a clothesline. Locks in a Koji clutch. Daniels broke it up before he slaps on a guillotine choke to keep Castagnoli in trouble. Castagnoli reverses onto a suplex and hits some uppercuts. Daniels hits a spinning downward spiral and the best moonsault ever that only got 2 count. Angel Wayne's got countered. Castro hits a pop-up uppercut for a 2 count, hits the swing, and then a J Driller to retain the Ring of Honor World title at 13 minutes and 36 seconds. I give this meet event 7 out of 10. Did both men shake hands after that, and we get that theme song, the Briscoes, to Reach for the Skyboy to wrap up the show. This was a emotional show to get through, but it is on YouTube. It's a little over 3 hours long. But I recommend going checking that show out. But that was AEW this week and wrap up. Also, Jay Briscoe tribute show. I will be next week. I'll be back next week to review the shows. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.